Well, we now move on to another important aspect of today's conference, the context setting for legacy waste management. We'll start with the topic on the key facts on legacy waste management. We have with us Dr. Richa Singh, the Deputy Program Manager at Center for Science and Environment, New Delhi. She's currently working on Forum of Cities that segregate initiative and integration of informal sector in the waste management chain. She has close to 15 years of experience working in the solid waste management and various other sectors. She has worked in commercial hazardous waste treatment, storage and disposal facility in Indore and various other aspects. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause and let's welcome Dr. Richa Singh for her setting the context on key facts on legacy waste management.
And hello, good morning everyone. My name is Dr. Richa Singh and I'm from Center for Science and Environment. So in this presentation we'll talk about and we'll discuss about the key facts about legacy waste management and dumpsite remediation. So before I go ahead, I'd like to brief you a little about my organization. In CSE, it's a research and advocacy organization which is active since 1981. It's a policy think tank which is active in national and international environment and climate change policy ecosystem. It has, besides India, we have presence in 26 countries in Asia and Global South, and our core expertise is in the area of capacity building, research and advocacy. With regard to dumpsite remediation action plan, we have been helping the cities, and as of today, we have trained nearly 400 cities across the country. We are also working on publishing a toolkit which will have all the key considerations related to different aspects of legacy waste management and dumpsite remediation. We were also the part of a series of workshop and capacity building programs organized by MoHUA. So let us talk about the current status of legacy waste management in the country. So we all are aware about the fact that India is urban India is actually contributing, and it accounts for nearly 1/3 of the India's population, and we are generating nearly 55 million tons of waste every year, out of which a significant fraction of waste is actually ending up into the open dump site. We have been following a classical linear economy model, which is based on the principles of take, make, and dispose, where the natural resources are first taken up from the environment, from the nature. It is converted into a commodity or product, which is then further used by the consumer, and towards the end of its life, when it attains its end of life, it is disposed of indiscriminately into the open dumps. As a result, we are now witnessing the problem of dump site issues, including the environmental hazards as well as the health hazards. As per the CPCB report, we are having 3,159 dump sites currently operational in our country, which is an offshoot of waste mismanagement for the last 3 decades. We have to deal with nearly 1,300 million tons of waste if we talk about the national level value, and it is occupying an area of nearly 10,000 hectares of land. So if you want to visualize that land, you can imagine that this is equivalent to nearly 14,700 football grounds. And the estimated cost of remediation that we have estimated is nearly 1,04,000 crores of rupees, which is equivalent to 74% of the total amount, the total budget outlay by the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. These are some of the dump sites. The 3 are in the capital city itself, and you must be hearing and reading a lot about the fire outbreaks in Bhalswa and Ghazipur dump sites. So the best part, I mean, earlier these dump sites were in the outskirts of the city, but as the cities are expanding, they are right in the middle of the city, and the story is same in almost all the metropolitans of the country. So why dump site remediation is required, and the government has mandated that the cities having more than 10 lakh population, They are required to clear their dump sites by 31st March 2024, and the cities having less than 10 lakh of population are required to clear their dump sites by 31st March 2023. So basically we have a couple of years to remediate all these legacy waste dump sites. Now it's very important to understand that legacy waste is very different from the fresh municipal solid waste, and how it is different. If you see the slide, we are disposing of mixed waste, so unsegregated waste, when it reaches an open dump site, and if there is a piling of waste every day, there will be anaerobic conditions in the dump site. The dump site start acting as an ecosystem itself, where there is interaction between the biotic and abiotic factors. There will be various biochemical reactions, and as a result, a lot of methane is produced in the process. Also, it is considered as a pollution hub because a lot of leachate is produced in the process, because our waste is having significant proportion of organic, biodegradable organic fraction, which ranges between 50 to 60% of the total waste, and that this contributes significantly in the production of leachate, and this leachate has a potential to seep through the waste and ultimately affect the groundwater quality as well as the surface water quality. There are other hazards also related to land pollution, fire hazard, gas, rodents and pests, all sort of bioaerosols and all of that. So that is why the government has mandated now to all the ULBs to clear the dump sites as soon as possible. So if you have seen in this slide, one of the major the difference between fresh and the municipal solid waste is the fact that the legacy waste or the old waste which is lying in the dump site, in the lower strata of the dump site, is basically having a huge quantity of fine fraction, fine soil-like material, which is nothing but it's a combination of inert fraction, the decomposed organic waste, and the street sweepings and all of that. So basically anything which is below 5 mm in size. The coarser particles such as broken bricks, stones, etc., which might contribute 20 to 25%. Now it is important to understand that the composition of legacy waste is different in different kind of dump sites. So it is entirely dependent on the fact that how old is the dump site. If it is old dump site, the fraction of fine fraction would be high. If it is a newer dump site where you are also disposing of fresh organic waste, then the composition will be different. So this is this pie chart is representing the waste composition in Pirana dump site in Ahmedabad, which was considerably old dump site. And the Indian dump sites are generally a combination. If you talk about the dump site waste in Indian dump sites, they are basically the combination of legacy waste as well as fresh municipal solid waste, because most of them are still operational. So it will have partly decomposed material. It will also have undecomposed material and completely decomposed material, and it will vary as we go below at different strata of the dump sites. So approaches to dump site remediation and legacy waste treatment. So in India, we are adopting 3 approaches or 3 technologies. The very first is biomining of the dump site, where it's a scientific process of stabilizing the legacy waste and excavating it in a scientific manner and then processing it as per the size. And then we have to make sure that the mine fractions are getting utilized for various gainful application. And in this process, we recover the entire land that is occupied by the legacy waste. And that is why this is considered as the most environmental friendly technique for dump site remediation. In the second case, which is biocapping of the dump site, so basically in most of the cases it is not considered as, in fact the NGT, in many of the NGT orders, this is seen as a least preferred option. Why? Because we need to understand that we are not dealing with scientifically constructed and operated landfills. We are dealing with the dump sites which are devoid of any kind of barrier layer. There is no mechanism for the leachate collection and treatment, and same holds true for landfill gases also. In case of biocapping, the concessionaires, they claim that they install the gas vents and they have a mechanism to collect and treat the leachate, but it is not possible to do that. It is practically impossible to recover 100% of the leachate as well as the landfill gases where there is no mechanism for doing it. So, and also in this case, we are not recovering the land, which is the most important resource that we are looking for. And the third model is hybrid model, which is a combination of biocapping and biomining. And in this case, a fraction of waste is treated, a fraction of land is reclaimed. So basically they have, if the ULBs are not able to gainfully utilize all the fractions recovered during the biomining process, they use a certain land to cover that material, biocap that material, and rest of the land is reclaimed. I think we will get to hear about this model from Bhopal Municipal, from the representative from Bhopal Municipal Corporation. So if we look at the different steps which are involved in biomining, the very first step is pre-feasibility assessment, including thorough site investigation, surveys, and waste characterization. I think this is very, very important, and all the ULB should do it. And this is something which is doable at the ULB level itself, where we know that, okay, this much waste, we can go for contour surveying and things like that to understand what is the volume of the legacy waste, how much is the quantity of the legacy waste, and that will help you to plan. And also the composition of the legacy waste is very, very important, because it will help you to plan for the disposal, the ultimate disposal of different fractions that you are getting. Suppose if you are getting 20% of the scrap combustible material, you need to identify the nearby cement industries, which can be, those are going to be the end user of your material. If you have 70% of the inert fraction or the fine fraction, you need to find some low-lying areas where you can use it, or maybe some potential technological interventions for the gainful application of the recovered fractions. The second is systematic excavation of the legacy waste, followed by stabilization by spraying bioinoculum. This is also very, very important. From our experience, what we have seen, many people, many concessionaires, they think that just trommeling of the legacy waste, they call it biomining, which is not true, because I think it's, as I mentioned, in Indian dump site, we have a combination of all sort of waste, including the partially and completely decomposed material. So the material which is partially decomposed, it is very important to stabilize that material in order to facilitate the process of sorting later. So I think that is very, very important, and this is steps where you provide some bioculture to the waste heaps. It's very, very critical, followed by processing of the excavated fraction, and then utilization of extracted waste fractions in various gainful applications. So here one of the important step which is missing is conditioning of the land. Once the landfill or the dump site is clear, you have treated all the legacy waste, you have to make sure that your land is free from any kind of contamination, be it heavy metal contamination or organic contamination, something like that. And there is a policy loophole also, which so the Central Pollution Control Board or the State Pollution Control Board, they have to develop some monitoring protocol to inspect the quality of land that has been recovered. Gainful application of biomine fraction, easier said than done. It's true, like the fractions that you are getting, I think it's in the planning phase itself, the ULB should prepare a disposal plan. For example, the fine soil-like material, the potential application could be, it can be used for earth filling material, road making, as a substitute of clay in construction industry, but at the same time there are environmental and health hazards associated with it. If suppose you are planning to put the fine fraction in some low-lying area, you have to inspect it, you have to analyze it for the presence of various environmental contaminants. If it is free from it, then only you should use that material, otherwise you have to make some alternative arrangements. Same holds true for other fractions also, and one of the reasons why cement industries are not willing to take the scrap combustible material is the fact that most of the time it is seen that the waste is not completely stabilized. As a result, when you do sorting of the waste, a lot of polymeric waste which is recovered is contaminated with inerts, and that increases the ash content. And that is one of the reasons why the cement industries are not willing to take that material. So these are the key considerations that ULB should consider while planning for their biomining project. Now there are various challenges associated with dump site remediation, including the operational challenges, infrastructural and financial. Operational is of course the sale of RDFs, or the scrap combustible material or fused derived fuel, tie-ups with the nearest cement plants, high transportation cost and difficulty in the sale of inert fraction. Infrastructural is of course the availability of space, because our dump sites are not scientifically constructed and there is no space for installing the machineries and equipments. Availability of customized equipment and skilled manpower. I repeat, skilled manpower is very, very critical, because we need to build the capacity of the officials from various ULBs and also the people who are directly or indirectly involved in these processes, because this is a very, very scientific process. Financial, most of the biomining projects are under budgeted. The reason, of course, the fact that we are not being able to estimate the right quantity of the waste in the legacy waste dump sites, and also how much is going where. And this is also one of the reasons, financial constraints. If we look at the dump site remediation in India, the current status, I think this is very important, where you can see that Karnataka is having nearly 157 dump sites currently operational in the state, and out of 3151 dump sites, this is as per the CPCB reports, annual reports 2019-2020, the dump site which has been reclaimed or cap is 87, and dump site which has been converted to sanitary landfills is 14. So there are few case studies, in fact many successful case studies in the country, and I think many of them are going to be discussed here, but this is one of the case studies which I think is very interesting to share. It's Indore, the Devguradia dump site in Indore, which is now 100 acres of land is now converted into city forest, and they have converted the entire area into an integrated solid waste management facility. If you go there, you will find that there is a 550 tons per day capacity bio-CNG plant, there is a C&D waste processing plant, and there is a lush green forest which is shown here. And they have remediated nearly 15 lakhs metric tons of legacy waste, and the site looks like this now. So I'll end my presentation with the last slide, which is on a roadmap to successful dump site remediation action plan. And thank you, sir, for mentioning the fact that, my previous speaker, for mentioning the fact that legacy waste is important, but at the same time, fresh waste management is something that should not be, these are the two things that should complement each other. Because we are removing the legacy waste in one side and creating one another garbage mountain for our future generations, that should not be done. I'll give you one example, because I come from Delhi and we are dealing with these 3 man-made mountains of garbage in Delhi. So in one of these plants, I don't want to take names here, but what they're doing is they have they're doing the biomining process. They're excavating and processing 2,000 tons of waste every day, and they're putting to 2,500 tons of fresh waste every day. So it becomes a vicious circle. It is never-ending process. So you cannot do a successful biomining project if you do not have an alternative plan or city solid waste action plan for dealing with your fresh waste. And that's also one of the key mandates in this Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, which suggests that only negligible fraction of waste should ideally go to the landfills. Landfills means the sanitary landfills. And the key for successful dump site remediation is maximum utilization of mine fractions, so that maximum land can be reclaimed. It should not be like a dislocated pollution that you are just extracting waste from one site and putting it somewhere else. You have to make sure that you have a proper plan for the gainful application of the mine fraction. As I mentioned, the city solid waste action plan is crucial to ensure that dump sites, no further dump sites are created in the future. And also the waste hierarchy system. I think every one of us, we know these 3 R's, the 3 R's of sustainable solid waste management. It is also mentioned in our own regulation, solid waste management regulation, which says that recycling is must and landfilling is the least preferred option in the integrated solid waste management system. So yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
It ended with let's build a zero landfill nation for our future generations. Very ideally said at the end of the day, end of your presentation. Thank you, Dr. Richa, for your presentation. We have another context setting with regards to the legacy waste management, the policies, provisions, and statutory compliance for legacy waste remediation. We have with us Dr. Himanshu Chaturvedi, SWM Expert, MoHUA, who will going to join us on virtual mode, who has got close to 2 decades of experience working in projects related to legacy waste management, C&D waste management, and so on. He's also the member of the National PMU for SBM engaged with MoHUA. I would now request Mr. Himanshu Chaturvedi, the solid waste management expert, to take over. Yeah, can you hear us, Mr. Himanshu?
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And good morning to all the senior officials from Karnataka state and municipal, distinguished speakers and friends. I'm Dr. Himanshu Chaturvedi, and on behalf of MoHUA, I'm presenting some highlight points, although some has been covered by Dr. Richa as well. But yes, there are some policy-related things. There are some what we require as of now for legacy waste remediation, and how we plan this thing. Actually, the planning is one of the important aspects for this, and still we are in developing phase of remediating the dump sites we have in most of the unwarranted sites we have in our cities. So I'm sharing my screen. Just actually, this is some unwanted sites in our city. Most of our cities having the old dump sites and the unlined crude dumping of waste for decades. These have generated these dump sites, and as on date, we have more than 2,000. Actually, the number is still thing. So we have more than all dump sites here. So initially, they have been started with, as Dr. Richa said, that started with the outskirts of the city, then now the part of the main city and these are these groundwater pollution, odor, hazardous fire, as well as the anesthetic appearance. And the release of methane is one of the main cause of, say, the emission of greenhouse gases, climate change, and all. So we have dump sites which have a waste quantum, legacy waste quantum of, say, starting from 1,000 TPD to, say, the biggest one in Mumbai with almost 2 crore metric tons of waste. So this is the size we have of different dump sites. The provisions under solid waste rule says that this is the duty and responsibility of local authorities and village panchayats to ensure, analyze all the dump sites, biomine them, bioremediate them, and take all the necessary actions to reduce the pollution and recycle or remediate the land. The closure and remediation of these dump sites is again a challenge for all the ULBs as of now, and we are trying to get the way out for remediating these things in a scientific manner, because this is one of the statements of our Honorable Prime Minister, that we want to remediate all these mountains of garbage at earliest, and in MoHUA under the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. This is one of the component for central financial assistance, apart from the other solid waste management related activities. So yes, we are all trying hard to remediate all these dump sites, and we need the hand holding for each and every ULBs, all the ULB officials to learn, because there are a number of dump sites which either remediated or in process of remediation. So what we need to do, we need to learn from the peer experiences actually, and that is one of the key to get these dump sites remediated at early as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Himanshu Chaturvedi. Sorry for the intervention. We were running short of time. We have now Srimati Bhanumati V, AEEE of DMA, will give us the roadmap for legacy waste management in Karnataka.
So, mentioned by the earlier speakers, uncontrolled dumping of solid waste has resulted in huge heaps of solid waste, and there's an urgent need from the cities to clear these waste. These are the policy mandates for legacy waste management. The solid waste management rules 2016 emphasizes on bioremediation and biocapping of dump sites. The detailed procedure for biocapping and bioremediation has already been provided by the CPCB guidelines. And in this regard, the Swachh Bharat Mission guidelines and state policy for and strategy for solid waste management also focuses on legacy waste management, especially the dump site remediation and biocapping. And as we all know that NGT orders, we are committed to clear these dump sites in a time-bound manner. When we look at the scenario of Karnataka, we have around 312 urban local bodies which are spread across 31 districts of the state, and 196 cities have the dump sites. The total quantity of legacy waste in the entire state is around 180 lakh metric tons of waste, which is spread across 11,177 acres of land. And in the recent affidavit that we have submitted to NGT, BBMP has committed to clear the dump sites by December 2024. Accordingly, 29 months is left out, and other cities have committed to clear the dump sites by December 2023. In this regard, 17 months is left out for our cities to clear these dump sites. When we analyze the quantity of waste in detail, we find that BBMP as a major portion of legacy waste. It contributes to around 54% out of the total waste that has been accumulated. And the 10 city corporations contributes to around 17.2%. These bigger city corporations almost covers around 71% of the total quantity of legacy waste. And other cities like 54 CMCs contribute to around 15%, while 83 TMCs contribute to around 7.7%, and 48 town panchayats contribute to around 5.5% of the total legacy waste in the state. In this regard, a lot of initiatives have been taken at the state level. We created a state level advisory committee specially for clearing these legacy waste projects. And the state has also delegated the power to the deputy commissioners to clear the legacy waste project up to 5 crores. And in this regard, we have also prepared a draft model RFP documents. As a part of capacity building, one level training has already been given to all the environmental engineers and AEEs, and field visits were arranged to Coimbatore, where the bioremediation projects was going on. Regarding the RFP documents, in fact, we have two scenarios. If an urban local body wants to take up tender individually, we have a RFP in place. While if the district administration want to go for a cluster model, we also prepared this is in the draft stage. And when we look at the procedures of how legacy waste management projects are cleared, initially the urban local body selects an agency and prepares the DPR. These DPRs are then submitted to the district level, wherein if the project cost is less than 5 crores, this is verified at the district level and it is placed before the district level committee, which is constituted under SBM. Further, once the committee approves this, it is approved by the concerned superintendent engineers, technical sanctions are obtained and tenders are invited. While if the project cost is more than 5 crores, it is submitted to the state, wherein it is reviewed at the state level and placed before state level advisory committee and the state HIPAD committee as well. And further, once the administrative approval is issued, technical sanctions are taken and tenders are invited. All those projects which are approved at the district level will further be ratified at the state level. And when we look at the implementation status in the city corporations, we have around 10 city corporations. 4 cities have already have issued the work order. Mangalore, Tumkur, Bijapur and Shivamoga, work has already been started there. And Mysore is still in tendering stage. And 4 city corporations have finalized their DPR, which is yet to be placed before the state level committee. And 1 city corporation is preparing in a DPR preparation stage. When we look at the scenario of other small cities, 1 CMC has issued the work order, and 9 urban local bodies are in tendering stages. 23 ULBs have finalized their DPR, and 153 cities are still in preparation stage. And the source of funding for this legacy waste management, we rely on Swachh Bharat. According to the Swachh Bharat Mission guidelines, the state action plan has been prepared for solid waste management, and legacy waste is also a part of the solid waste action plan. In this regard, in the state we have around 180 lakh metric tons of waste, and the total project cost as per the guidelines and the costing which has been fixed by the Government of India, it's 550 rupees per ton. Considering that the total project cost is around 989 crores, out of which Government of India share will be 322 crores, and the state has to give around 210 crores, while other urban local bodies have a liability of 456.96 crores. But actual cost of remediation is comparatively high. So the cities have to mobilize their funds for the remediation of the sites. These are some of the photos where the works have been carried out. This is a city of Mangalore city photos, wherein 9 lakh metric tons of legacy waste has been estimated, which is spread across 42 acres of land. And the remediation cost, the capex cost is around 212 rupees, and the opex is around 413 rupees. The work is initiated. And this is the case of Tumkur. The quantity of waste here is 90,000 metric tons, which is spread across 3.74 acres, and the operational cost is around 547 per metric ton. Till now, 11,700 metric ton of legacy waste has been cleared, and 0.5 acre of land has been reclaimed. This is a Shimoga SWM site, wherein 27,000 metric tons of waste has been estimated, which is spread across 27 acres of land, and the operation cost is around 787 per metric ton, and 14,670 metric ton of legacy waste has been cleared till now. This is the case of Bijapur. Bijapur has around 80,000 metric tons of waste, which is spread across 14 acres of land. The operation cost is 528 per metric ton. Presently, they have remediated 69,000 of metric tons. 87% of the work is completed in Bijapur, and around 13 acres of land has been reclaimed. DMA is facing, DMA and also other urban local bodies are facing concerns and issues in remediation projects. As mentioned by Honorable Justice Adi sir, we are committed towards remediating these dump sites in an environmental sound and time-bound manner. These are some of the concerns which you are facing. In fact, from this workshop, we look forward for a fruitful discussion, and also the learnings and insights from this workshop will help us to address these issues, especially to understand the models and approaches for legacy waste management in smaller municipalities. And most of our smaller municipalities are still in DPR preparation stage. And we also look forward for the inputs for finalization of these DPRs. There are certain operational, O&M and administrative challenges which we are facing. I hope to address these issues as well. And we can also learn from the best practices which has been practiced in other states of across the India. So thanks for the...
Thank you, Bhanumati, for sharing the Karnataka scenario. Always SWM section and Director ma'am is there for your help. Yavade riti nimge approaches, you can approach ma'am directly.